You may have noticed that one of our readings today, I think in the lesson, prominent mention is made of the strange and mystical relationship of the one and the many as they relate to the deity and relate to various other circumstances of life. Obviously, this is not an intellectual, philosophical problem to be solved, but it is a mystery to be approached in a mystical fashion. And so I was thinking of what previous stories of a sacred nature are known to me that would relate to that, and if I haven't forgotten them yet when I came over here, then I will tell them to you. There are two stories, two incidents from the East. The first one from Hindu lore, and the second from Buddhist lore. And in the one from Hindu lore, which you may have also, these are known fairly well, and especially if you revere the writings of the late Heinrich Zimmer, the teacher and patron of Joseph Campbell, then you will have come across this maybe in his books. In any event, Krishna, who is sort of the Hindu Christ, and I often felt from the time that I first heard his name that maybe there is some connection. Krishna. In any way, there are wonderful stories about Krishna in the various Hindu scriptures, and one of these is that he was a somewhat wild and disobedient child and young man. And so his mother was unhappy that she couldn't find him at home and rushed out to the temple to see whether that is where he is. And he was there. But in order to prevent the possible acts of retribution on the part of his mother, he changed every person in that large temple into the semblance of Krishna. And so she came in, and it's Krishna, 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 Krishna everywhere. So she couldn't make up her mind which one it was, and disappointed in her desire to punish her son, she retreated, which is, I'm sure, a desire of a lot of disobedient children that they could do this. So there is the one can become the many are the one, so that the interchangeability of the many and the one is a very important circumstance and has various miraculous implications. The other from Tibetan Buddhist lore has to do with a disciple who was apprenticed to a wise Lama and was trying to get practices taught to him by the Lama that would bring into manifestation for his devotion the great goddess of mercy, Kuan Yin. And so he did the prayers, did the various rituals, went back to the teacher again, and he said, Lama, Kuan Yin hasn't come. He says, well, you haven't done enough, so here are some more prayers, go home and pray some more. So as the disciple is walking on the road in the snow, I sort of envision this as being kind of on the edge of the mountain, all of a sudden in front of thunder and lightning, and all in front of him is one of the great and terrifying Tibetan deities, namely Manjushri. Manjushri is a very macho god. He sits on a tiger, which in itself requires a certain amount of courage, and he who has a sword in his hand as he comes rushing along, and so the disciple bows down or kneels down in the snow and says, "Well, Lord Manjushri, I'm so greatly honored to see you, but it wasn't you, but it was the goddess Kuan Yin whom I wanted to see." And Manjushri looks at him with more than a little disdain and says, "And whoever told you that we are not one?" Namely, the goddess and he, which is really something that needs to be remembered, because the divine, the good, even as the demonic, of which we are having some intimations in public life, are all one and many. And this needs to be kept in mind. It's not a tremendous big miracle, but it is the two main aspects in which reality appears to us are either unity or multiplicity. And so that is why this element is brought into manifestation in that fashion. And so I think the lesson that we may take, or at least one of the lessons that we may take home from that story, is that we should be looking for the divine in whatever appearance it may come to us. And it often will not come to us in the appearance that we expect. Maybe not. Maybe you are looking for the Blessed Virgin Mary, whom as a good Catholic boy that I was raised, whom I revere very greatly too, and then the Gnostic Sophia appears. And if you ask the questions mentally or otherwise, she might tell you, "And whoever told you that we are not one?" So these things have to be kept in mind. The eternal dimension, the divine dimension, has the privilege of appearing pretty much as it wishes. It is a form changer. It is a shape changer. It is a sacred shape changer. And that in turn makes it incumbent upon us that we cultivate and exercise our intuition, so that when something happens of the sort that we have just mentioned, that then the intuition which will tell us, and that could bring up another story which I'm not going to tell, which can bring to us another disclosure that under the disguises of the many, there is the one. And that we need to keep that in mind. It is good for us to be able to contemplate holy and sacred beings in multiple forms. Because among those many multiple forms, there will be one or two that we will particularly like. And that is the virtue of having a lot of the saints. Because if among all the saints that have been canonized and are being canonized, you don't find one or two who you're liking, then I would say that maybe you got to go to India and see Krishna. But the many change into the one changes into the many, and yet they all bring to you the same force, the same energy, the same love, the same redemptive kindness. And if we can keep that principle in our minds, that when the various experiences of life bring such unusual happenings to us, then we will be able to appreciate the many and at the same time revere and adore the one. And so may the mystery of that which hangs twixt heaven and earth descend upon us and remain with us always. Amen.